In the previous video, we looked at how politically biased information contributed to fake news. In this video, we'll be looking at the history of fake news in an effort to understand how Facebook allowed for the prominence of biased and fake news in the United States. In order to understand the consequences of Facebook and fake news becoming a pair, we first need to go on a history lesson back to ancient Greece to understand how fake news became so prominent in the modern day. From there, we will go on a journey through time and space. Cue the timeline. Socrates, ancient Greece. Socrates first foresaw fake news, and in ancient Greece he warned about, quote, falling under the spell of an orator, end quote, who lies and deceives for personal gain, similar to those in the modern era who create fake news for their own gain, whether it be monetary or of a political nature. 1600s British coffee houses during the reign of Charles II. The coffee houses of 1600s Britain were notorious for the discussion of rumors, political scandals, and gossip. Discussion of rumors and gossip in such a public space allowed it to spread quickly. King Charles II almost closed them down in anger, but was prevented from doing so by his nobles. 18th and 19th century yellow journalism in America and New York City. The newspapers of the 18th and 19th centuries were reliant on juicy, salacious, embellished stories in order to gain readership. These newspapers often completely dramatized events reported and made them worthy of a play. In New York City, people bought and sold, quote, yellow press newspapers openly, thus selling and publicizing lies and deceit. Fairies photographed in 1917. This now infamous photograph is an excellent example of fake news. The photograph of a little girl behind what appears to be real fairies took Britain by storm in the early 1920s. The girl in the photo later admitted herself that it was a hoax, but Time magazine attributes this photo to the prevalent belief of fairies in British culture today. 20th century Nazi propaganda, before and during World War II. The Nazis used fake news and propaganda to consolidate and expand their power. A clear and sickening example of this was Der Stürmer newspaper, which ran from 1917 to 1945 in Germany. The paper was viciously anti-Semitic and created false stories based entirely off of letters sent in by discriminatory members of the public. Passing these letters off as fact meant that the paper was able to create lies out of opinion and discrimination. After the fact that the paper was free to view to any member of the public, it became a viral publication. The 21st century, 1990 to today. The opening of the internet to the wider world allowed for an impressive and unprecedented amount of information sharing. With just a few clicks, people were able to create and share whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted. The rise of social media allowed for even greater sharing of ideas and content. Since all these platforms had no verification methods, people created and shared fake news all over. Facebook is a company in particular that was called out for its role in spreading fake news. Facebook was originally a company founded to share personal events in one's life. But as the internet became more widespread, so did Facebook. The company became a larger entity through which people not only shared their memories and feelings, but became something larger than itself. In some places like Philippines or Myanmar, Facebook became the internet. It became so ubiquitous that people used it all over to communicate, much like the internet today. Naturally, Facebook as a company had to grow. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, Twitter was still a giant in the social media space. Its 140-character tweet method allowed things to go viral quickly, and it pulled in a lot more users and much more traffic than Facebook. So, Facebook, following its, quote, move fast and break things, end quote, ethos, began redeveloping a section of its platform called Newsfeed, where algorithms would present personal news to users based on what they wanted to see. It took real news articles and effectively copied and pasted them into the front page of the platform. Facebook also expanded its reach out to journalists and news providers, teaching them how to increase their own web traffic. The push was so large that by 2013, Twitter was in decline. In hindsight, however, the push was doomed from the start. The company did not hire real news journalists, instead choosing to rely on their own computer algorithms to decide what to show users. They chose to allow computer algorithms to make decisions about what to show, to decide what was fair and what wasn't. They tried to make these computer algorithms decide between satire, fact, and opinion, a difficult task, an attempt that was inherently flawed. By doing this, the company appeared to remain neutral, making a choice to show everything, whether it was true or not. It all came to a head in 2016 when several Facebook employees were fired by the company for leaking materials that indicated an ongoing debate within the company regarding how to react to the 2016 presidential election campaign and Donald Trump. Almost immediately, conservatives, including prominent U.S. Senator John Thune, reacted in outrage. The senator sent a letter accusing Facebook of essentially stifling conservative voice on the platform. As chair on the U.S. Senate Commerce Committee, Thule had particular power to conduct investigations into the company, something that Zuckerberg and the company did not want. And while the trending topic scandal was building, investors began to worry about the company. Some realized that a huge change was underway in how the platform was being used. This change was something that had not been caught by the company's radar, and it would become something that Facebook is still dealing with today. The use of the platform to spread fake news and its use as a tool for political operatives, from Donald Trump's social media manager to teenagers in Macedonia, in order to influence the way people think. In particular, the Trump campaign, while not run by experienced political know-hows, was able to capitalize on Facebook and use it as its own messaging tool. The campaign used various tools and programs to analyze the nature of its supporters to further spread messages and rhetoric supporting the candidate. At the same time, clickbait news stories spread like wildfire across the platform, with little done to stem the flow of fake news. Maybe because Facebook didn't want to incite more controversy in light of their trending topic debacle, or because they simply needed all the traffic that these clickbait stories were drawing. Nevertheless, Facebook became the platform where fake news and political operatives could do their thing. The prominence of Facebook as a huge online platform meant that fake news traveled quickly and explosively throughout the world. The platform had originally started as an innocent endeavor to connect people, but it had become a purveyor of democracy influencing fake news. In the aftermath of the presidential election, many called out Facebook, saying that it had played a significant role in helping Donald Trump become president. And while Facebook initially downplayed the idea, further scandals involving data privacy violations being used to target voters meant that it had no choice but to recognize the danger it had become and take responsibility for what it was.